There we go. Oh, yes, we definitely are. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Post-election day and welcome. Congratulations to everyone who won. I know there was some upsets, but nonetheless, fair election was held. And some of us stayed up late last night, participating in the election watch and the storm coming through. So I think we may have some sleepy heads this morning. So with that, I'd like to call the meeting of the Executive Committee to order. It's Wednesday, April 5th, and it's 9:05. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen present. Good morning.
Good morning.
Bates,
here.
Berman,
Berman's here.
Davis,
Davis here.
Ford, Gums,
Gums here.
Caius,
Vice President.
Kenyon, Lewis,
here.
Linder,
Linder here.
Molina present, Sanchez,
Strathman here.
Surges,
Surges here.
Pepe,
Be here.
Kira.
I'm here as well. Very good. Ms. Gums, why don't you do the pledge for us today?
Pledge allegiance
to
the flag
the United States of America.
to the republic.
Thank you.
Your crusade to change that cadence.
May I please have a motion and a second to approve the March 8th, 2023 minutes?
Madam Chair,
unanimous.
Caius, I would ask that we approve the minutes by consent, unanimous consent.
Thank you, sir. Everybody agreement? Okay, the minutes are then approved. Is there any public comment? See none. I see none online. Very good. And are we ready? Yes. I do have something that I'd like to share with you during this period of time. So it's going to be pulled up on the screen. It reflects what happened yesterday during the election. As soon as he's able to pull it up, we'll show it.
Good technical explanation.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that Nugget was barking at the storm last night.
Orgy, yeah.
Oh, dear.
That's my levity for the morning. I thought it was very apropos.
Madam Chair, did that require a motion?
A motion to approve the terror of the corgi.
Disapprove.
Could we please have the monthly financials, please?
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I don't know if this is on. I think so. The monthly financial reports are just included in your agenda packet, the standard reports. I don't have anything
Erica,
further.
can you get closer to the microphone?
Sure.
There we
There we go. Sorry. The monthly financial reports are included in your agenda packet. The standard reports that Finance provides each month. I don't have anything further to add this month, but be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I think we have a one question that has been burning on many of the board members. Can you just give us a brief update on how you are doing?
She looks good.
I'm okay.
Marvelous.
Leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, very good, very good. And then, Ms. Liberla, when you come up, you can both perhaps, if you don't mind, I'd like to change the order just a little bit. Can you give us an update about the interview that we recently had to relieve everybody?
Certainly. This is Jamie Labrillo, Director of Human Resources. We recently met with a candidate who is available on a temporary contract basis to work for the county, who has a great deal of experience in local government, budgeting for a Collier County, and recently retired from that position and is now working as a consultant on a contract basis. And We met with him last week, we being the chairman, as well as Mr. Berman and Mr. Leonard. And he was an excellent candidate. We had a really good talk with him and think that there's a lot that he can contribute and are hoping to bring him on a contract basis, hopefully as soon as next week.
So yeah, hopefully we'll get him on board starting on Monday. So I hope that relieves everybody's stress a little bit, including Erica. So we will be moving forward at pace, and we will continue the search for a full-time executive director of finance. But right now we have respite, temporary respite. So thank you. And Erica, thank you. And thank you, Jamie. All right, Ms. Mann.
Good morning. So my update from the Public Information Office, I was part of a panel presentation for the National City Council or City County Communications and Marketing Association Conference in Chicago, where I promoted Kane County in my role here as Public Information Officer. Exciting opportunity brought to me by Madam Chair. We're going to try to get an intern for my office. It will be paid by the University of Chicago to work on special projects. Mark Van Kerkhoff and I met with the Cougars baseball organization recently, just checking in with them ahead of opening day, which is May 11th. Social media posts. Well, we kept everybody up to date on the changing weather from last Friday through this morning. We did have some tornado touchdowns in Kane County, and the National Weather Service did give a shout out to our emergency management office. So that was good. Social media posts included the visit by the kids from the 4-H for Government Day. I hope y'all saw that. The April 4th election, several posts on that. Several upcoming projects for the Kane County Division of Transportation. Promotion and follow-up on the community listening sessions for the Climate Action Plan, which then, yes, Mavis was featured in this lovely article done by Denise Crosby about the listening session in the Beacon News.
Front page.
Yeah, it was good stuff, right? Exactly. We've pushed out a lot for call for volunteers for the county's upcoming recycling events. The participation in the Fox River Summit that Madam Chair was also a part of. And we created a Kane County board calendar for social media for April, which we'll be doing regularly going forward. We also had a successful Women's History Month campaign, if you saw it in the newsletter, promoting each department and the women that serve in those departments. And just as a entertainment tonight, we do have a native of Algonquin moving through the American Idol program. Her name is Kyra. Anyways, she's a really great singer, so keep an eye on her.
Very nice.
Algonquin.
Okay.
Algonquin.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Our own Julie Mann is the featured speaker at the women's luncheon for Elgin YWCA in the middle of the month.
Yep.
Featured speaker, number one.
Very good. Yeah, and everybody has complimented me all over, Julie, that you were a very good hire.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
So,
Madam Chair Gums.
yes, Ms. Gums.
I just would like to say thank you to our emergency management team as well, and you for keeping everybody updated. You may or may not know this, but I was hit by the tornado, and my team in Aurora and South Park and all those folks down there have reached out to me. There's a lot of damage down that direction. But I just want to thank everybody. And you all for reaching out to me because you love me.
You do.
She has 2 new skylights. Yes.
Yeah, she said. New home improvements.
Since we're doing comments and accolades, Mavis Bates was also featured Monday on Aurora's podcast, Good Morning Aurora, and she did a really excellent job explaining CEJA and all the initials, as I call them, and all the initiatives. And Greenfest is happening in Aurora next month, which she's the head of. And
It's back. That's wonderful.
yeah. So she really made the county and all of us really proud by doing it, because she's very smart,
Well,
So, no, she was really good. Sometimes they have speakers that aren't quite as eloquent, but she did a wonderful job.
well done. Well done. Very good.
Of
Very
course.
good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They
Oh.
seem surprised, Mavis. What's that?
Mavis, environmental issues are truly your passion
Yes.
and the
Yes,
depth of
and
your
it shows,
knowledge.
it shows.
It does. It does. All right. Well, thank you all. Is there any old business I see none online. Is there any new business? Again, seeing none. Very good. All right, let's go through the preliminary county board agenda. Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 4 resolutions today. I'll ask for a motion and a second to approve all 4 together, and I'll go over them.
I would motion or second, whatever you need.
Mr. Kenyon moves.
I'll second. Caius.
Caius seconds. There's like 5 people. The first one is the invoices, the monthly invoices for Ernst & Young, our consultant for ARPA Professional Management Services. The second one is an authorizing amendment to the agreement with the consultant to increase the not to exceed amount so that we can continue our work with them and get a lot of great things done into the future. Third resolution is for the Ride and Cane program, and you have with your agenda was handed to you an updated version of that resolution that has updated budget tables. That's the only significant difference, the only difference. And then the final resolution is for a program, department project out of the state's attorney's office, heightened need for domestic violence and deferred prosecution. And I'll take any questions on those if you have them. Otherwise, those are the 4.
Questions? No? Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Ford.
Morning.
Oh, we have to vote
Oh,
first.
we're gonna vote.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Come on,
vote.
Consent.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, aye.
Berman,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums, Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
passes.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Toby.
Last but not least. Here,
All right.
Mr. Ford.
Good morning, everybody. From county development, we have 5, and I move all 5.
Council second.
All right, I have a second. And the first one is it's amending the Housing and Community Development Consolidated Plan. And these are funds that comes from our HUD. Actually, they're federal funds that comes through HUD. And this is part of our CDBG funding. This is a project for Kane Elgin home consolidation. And I think if anybody have any questions, I think Mark is here for more details. All right, if not, moving on, our next 3 are part of our program that's been started a few years ago with ways to clean up the neighborhoods. And these are demolition projects that are throughout Kane County. So the first one is and these are all authorization they go through the court system. So the first one is a building located at 1379 Pearl Street, which is in Aurora Township, and it also has a partial number on it. No questions? Okay, the second one is also the demolition. This is one that's at 9 North 700 Beckham Trail. This is an Elgin Township partial, Elgin Township. And then the third demolition project we have is 13 North 341 Romkey Road, and this is Burlington Township. And then the last resolution is a resolution and name for ingress and segress easement with Silent Oaks subdivision.
I'll have you know that Silent Oaks is an oxymoron. When they fall, they're really loud.
Okay.
Found out the hard way, didn't you?
Any other questions or comments?
Cartoon.
We were in the basement. It was a bomb.
I'm glad to see you in good spirits. All right.
Clerk,
That's
please
it.
call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe.
Tepe, yes.
Passes.
Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We have 23 items. I'd like to move for approval of all 23 on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
The first is a resolution approving February 2023 claims paid $4,753,566.32. Second is a resolution authorizing payment of additional workers' compensation premium for fiscal year 2022, $16,420. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing agreement with White and Company for the demolition project at the Fabian Parkway campus and a budget adjustment for the capital fund of $383,700. Item 4 is a resolution amending the fiscal year 2022 budget for SCAAP program of $29,423. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing fiscal year 22 year-end allocation budget adjustment for an excess of $10,725,000 and divided up between tax freeze and the capital and 500,000 for the sheriff and a total of 10 million. Item 6 is a resolution budget adjustment approved in resolution 23-89 of $3,096. 7 is a resolution amending resolution 11-301, creating an administrative structure for King County 457B deferred compensation plan. That's just a resolution. And item 8 is a resolution authorizing a contract for King County elevator preventive maintenance service for $121,320. Item 9 is an authorization agreement for extension for architect, engineering, construction management at risk service contract of $700,000. 10 is a resolution authorizing the contract extension for the Kane County mechanical, electrical, and civil engineering services of $100,000. Item 11 is a resolution authorizing expenditure of funds for furniture installation related services, $250,000. Item 12 is a resolution, excuse me, authorizing contract extension for Walker and Associates and Heartland Business Systems for Cisco hardware, software services, and SmartNet, $600,000. Item 13 is resolution amending professional services for consulting and project management for the IT department, $400,000. 14, resolution authorizing contract extension for low voltage data cabling and structure network cable engineering services of $300,000. Item 15 is authorizing expenditure of funds for Laserfish software system renewal for OPG-3 Incorporated, $60,000. Item 16, a resolution authorizing Tyler maintenance agreement for finance application, $131,000. 17 is a resolution authorizing electronic home monitoring service agreement with Securus Monitoring. 18 is a resolution ratifying an emergency purchase affidavit to purchase 2 vehicles for the Kane County Sheriff's Office, $143,200. 19 is a resolution amending resolution 23-59, approving the purchase of 1 replacement vehicle for the King County Sheriff's Office for $9,800. Item 20 is a resolution approving a contract with Progressive Energy Group LLC for consulting services for the King County Electric Aggregation Program for unincorporated King County to a maximum cost of $35,000. 21 is a resolution authorizing renewal of a contract for software licensing and technical support for program year 2023, $100,000. 22 is a resolution authorizing extension of contract with our financial advisor, Spear, for $28,000, not to exceed, or six months, not to exceed $28,000. And the last 23 is the resolution authorizing King County participation in the Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership by King County Board Chair Perot and funding from Fund 400 Economic Development, $57,706.
54,000.
I'm sorry, $54,706. That's all I have. Is there any questions?
Are there any questions?
Bates, please.
Yes, Ms. Bates.
Is the under TMP 23,359, $250,000 for furniture? That's going to make somebody question that, I believe. Is this typical? Have we always done this? Is this new for this year or?
No, I believe it's typical.
No,
It's up to.
Roger.
So is this on? Okay. This is Roger Fonstock from IT and Buildings. So the Trendway contract that you have is an Omnia Partners agreement. So it's a joint purchasing agreement that we want to enter into. This is a not to exceed amount based on our budgeted amount for furniture for the year. And what we do is we ask for the authorization to use the Omnia agreement and not exceed our budgeted amount of furniture. So the projects that we have going on right now are related to everything from the state's attorney, public defender to the CASA and then general offices throughout the county. And what we will do is use that dollar amount as basically our limit, and we'll build out proposals and statements of work to buy furniture and deploy it to the offices based on their requirements and needs. But we have a limit based on our budget to do that. And if we approach that or exceed that, we have to come back to the board to ask for it. But we use those to basically build proposals to work off of and then get those ordered. But that's been based on our budget, and that's pretty typical for the types of things. We have similar for the low voltage cabling that was on there. There's another one where we're not sure exactly where all the cabling projects will be this year, but we budgeted the $300,000. And as they come up, we can build a statement of work and then execute the statement of work without having to go through 60 days of meetings. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have one more question, please.
Yes, Ms. Bates.
For TMP 23,426, Spear 28,000. These may have been answered in the committees, but I forgot the answer.
Here.
Does this have to do with the financial planner that we are hiring?
No,
Spear?
no.
No, Spear is used as like bond counsel or bond counsel advisor. And this is just a proactive resolution we brought forward, finance did, because our contract is expiring. It expired at the end of March, and we're just trying to be proactive to get us to the point where we can do the proper bids and everything, just to extend it a little bit out.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you,
Sure.
Madam Chair.
Anything else? None online. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Paulina,
Lena, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe.
Pepe, yes.
All right, Mr. Surges.
Well,
Well,
9,000th time. We have the personal relationships policy coming in that we thought was fully vetted and ready to move forward today. Yet last night I had a very nice conversation with a fellow board member who said, I don't like one word. And I am in complete agreement with that individual. And we challenged our human resources director as well as the state's attorney's office to look at that. So at this point, I'm going to ask Jamie Labrillo to come up, and I will ask Mr. O'Brien to put that change on the board. And we would like to move this forward with the adopted amendments that Jamie will fill us in on.
so as she comes up to the microphone, this came after
I
hours.
can see it there. I can't see it up. There we go. Thank you.
It's after hours that this was all created and
Sure,
drafted.
let's go with that. Yeah, let's go with that.
Well, thank you. Thank you all to the team.
Amy, I need your cell number.
All right.
If you can scroll to the second page, the change we're talking about is on the second page. The concern came up regarding the sentence at the beginning of the first paragraph with talks, which I'll read it. It says, an employee shall not engage in any matter or relationship involving an actual or perceived conflict of interest without permission from their department head or the county board chair. The concern came around the word permission and whether or not you can grant someone permission to engage in a conflict of interest, which wasn't the intent. So the intent was to state that the supervisor could evaluate the situation, put in mitigating factors if needed, and then, prove that the situation has been resolved. So we reworded the sentence. The sentence now states, an employee shall not engage in any matter or relationship involving an actual or perceived conflict of interest unless the matter has been reviewed and approved by their department head or county board chair in consultation with the executive director of human resources, and appropriate mitigating changes, if any, have been put into place.
If I could possibly add,
Versus permission.
two interpretations of the word permission. And isolated, I understand them both. And I appreciate just striking it so that at some other point in a future time, it is clear as to which interpretation we had intended. And so I thank you for doing this, Jamie, on the fly, and I appreciate the board's flexibility in allowing this to come from one committee to executive committee with the modification. And for the individual that brought this to our attention, I totally understand it and I appreciate I think we are stronger together than some of our parts, and this is a perfect example of that. So with that, I would move this motion forward and ask for a second.
8 seconds.
I have a question. So.
You're in discussion, Madam Chair.
So again, just going through the subtle difference, and I know that these are legal terms that I'm not aware of. I understand what permission is. You may do. I grant you the ability to move forward with whatever that may be, but the approval, I could say I can give you permission to do it. I mean, that you have my authorization to move forward with that relationship, but I may not personally, for whatever reason, approve of it. I mean.
Madam Chair, I believe
from
in
a
this
profession-
context.
So what is, do you understand what I'm saying? Is that a legal term, approval?
Jamie,
versus
if I can,
permission?
I perceive this to be approval, meaning we have reviewed the situation and a conflict that could or could not exist has been either approved, or we might suggest that we need to make other arrangements because those employees cannot work within the same department or the same office or something like that together. Am I fundamentally?
Yes, I would say the approval is for the mitigating changes. Rather, I mean, you're not approving whether it's not.
Can we
someone
enlarge
conducts a
that?
relationship is a
Sorry.
choice. The approval is that the
Can you make that a
mitigating
little bit
changes
bigger?
are in place.
Hang on a second. Hey, IT guys, can you zoom that? There you go.
I have to get into.
Oh, Brian, you're okay, buddy. Thanks.
A little bit more, please. Some of us have eyes that are better than others.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, that's much better.
And Mr. Shepro has said, is there a better word for approval? Let me do a quick swivel.
I feel like.
We might give,
Are we editing this right now? Is this appropriate?
not to, ma'am. Yes. Don't, yeah, you can have that back. I'm sticking with approval.
Okay.
It is approval to stay within that department, and we've reviewed that there's not a conflict there that needs to be separated.
I would like to ask our attorney, the board's attorney, Mr. On the fly. Obviously, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to review this, but is that legal term, the approval versus permission?
Well, the reason I said there might be a better word is that approval can mean a lot of different things. Approval can mean, yes, you two guys got it on, or gals. I mean, but I think that if I understand the intent is that it would be with the knowledge and authorization or some word like that. I mean, you're not saying, you're simply saying that we are aware of the relationship and it does not pose any conflict of interest.
That is the intent.
Yeah.
Clearly, that is the
Well,
intent.
Can that be
Davis with a
wordsmithed
comment?
to include that? Yes, hold on, just, can that be included to include that and get rid of the word approval? Because there may be biases, prejudices that may come up using that word that an individual may feel. There's-
I think, you could add knowledge and approval or something like that. It might be that if you forwarded this to the full board by next week, you might have a second word to add to it that would not require a extended discussion this morning.
Thank you. Mr. Davos, you had a comment?
I find approved to be pretty closely linked with permission. I would suggest a simple change of that one word from approved to acknowledged.
Yeah.
Acknowledged, okay, and yes,
The problem I have is,
name,
sorry, this is Cheryl Strathman. This is Cheryl Strathman. I had trouble with the word permission. I kind of agree with you with the word approval. I guess I'm not clear on the way this is written, what the purpose is. I don't think it's clear enough yet to me that whatever word we choose, whether it's permission, approval, or something else, is to address the mitigating circumstances that might be. So I think we either need to change the word or expand it out a little bit. Some of the words that I spent a lot of time on this yesterday, trying to figure out what would work. I have a good thesaurus. One of the words I saw was declaration on the part of the employee who came forward. Another one was notification. And if we, notification to the department head or county board, one of the things that I have problem with is I don't want the person who is being reported to then be responsible for what the employee does. If the employee chooses to continue the relationship after they've been told that it's not appropriate, then with the wording of this, it sounds like the staff, not the staff, the person reported to would then be responsible. And I don't like that.
Liability.
Yes, right.
Liability.
So I think notification or declaration on the part of the employee to the appropriate person so that mitigating circumstances can be reviewed or something like that would be better than just this. I don't want to give another adult a permission for something that then I'm going to be liable for.
You said I could do it.
oh, okay, yes, Ms. Gums.
Gums, just, you brought something up that makes sense to me, and I don't want to make this any more complicated as we understand the ideas here, but I again, don't want any individual to be responsible. So the way it reads, Human Resource Department Director, something like that is great. Also, you report to the board. So if we can generalize that it's not any one individual, like it's not one individual.
If I may, I believe the intent actually is to put onus on the person it's reported to, and I think that's a requirement. You have to put onus onto a person who is not a part of the conflicted situation to then remedy that situation. So if someone came to me and reported a relationship and I chose to do nothing about it, I absolutely should be responsible for that. And so I think we do need to use approval, authorization, or something that does put onus onto the person it's reported to deal with the situation and then eliminate that conflict of interest.
So I think that this is not quite ready for prime time, so. Yes. Yes.
Sanchez here. I was just going to suggest if we use the term acknowledgement, it implies there would be some kind of documentation, because otherwise somebody could just say, yeah, they told me there was a relationship. So I just assumed with an acknowledgement, there would be, a piece of paper that is signed or something like that in the personnel file.
Do that.
is that-
Another concern with simply an acknowledgement does not give the authority to the person it's reported to do anything about it. So that would mean if I came to you and said, I'm having a personal relationship with my subordinate staff, thanks, have a good day, that there would be nothing that anyone could do about it, certainly because I simply acknowledged it. And that isn't the case. We need the onus put on the management it's reported to eliminate the conflict of interest.
So what I'd like to suggest, because we can talk about this at length, I think we all agree that we're not ready to pass this thing through because I'm still seeing hands up for discussion.
Can I
we-
just quickly ask Jamie a question?
Can we, well, let me finish, please, and then, yes. Could we pull this off of consent agenda and then bring it forward to the full board off consent? And allow this team to be able to wordsmith appropriately and then bring it back to the board next week? And see if if it passes through at that time, because right now we're just mincing words.
I'd be happy to modify my motion to remove, with the intent to remove this from the consent agenda. But I would like to continue this conversation just for a moment today so that we have structure going forward.
Okay.
And if I may, we're tap dancing around the issue of acknowledgement versus permission in whatever word you would like to interchange for permission. I'm sure Julie can go to her thesaurus and come up with 13 different things, but make no doubt about it. We are not simply trying to rubber stamp that a relationship is okay. It is not okay. There are situations where it puts us in a fundamentally disadvantageous situation that opens us up to all sorts of lawsuits. We are trying to get in front of that. We are not trying to say you shouldn't date that person or vice versa. We're simply saying that if it's a superior subordinate relationship that could affect other downstream staff, we have to be acknowledging of that and say it's allowable or no, it creates a conflict. And to those saying, Michelle, I thought, and I don't mean to single you out, but I heard you say, we would like that to come to the board for approval. I disagree. That's a human resources department. It should go to our director there with that discretion. If there's something that percolates above that, Jamie can bring it to us, but we should have nothing to do with that.
And I
As an
think
elected
according
official.
to the code, the board chair, department heads respond directly to the chair of a committee as well as to the chairman of the board. So
Okay, because maybe that's what I was confused about. That's what I meant is the structure of the county is, the human resource director reports to the county board. You, the chair of the committee and the county board, and those words matter. I mean, I get it, but
Yeah.
I mean, if
That's
you
just
look
my
at the
feeling. I'm
structure.
just one vote. That's just my
So we-
feeling. So.
two more, and then I'll let Strathman and then
Thank you, Madam
our
Chair.
attorney.
The question I have, and now Cliff has said, brought it up again, the thing that I'm questioning, nowhere in this does it say subordinate, or it does not say that. The way this reads, it's any relationship. And if we're more concerned about, somebody being in a relationship with a subordinate, that should be in here too.
It actually is in there. It is in the first paragraph directly under guidelines. And it says that this policy is the existence of any personal relationship between the employee's family member, and a subordinate staff, supervisory staff, county board member, or vendor with which the employee contracts business on behalf of the county. That is the only relationship that has to be reported. If it is not a supervisory staff, subordinate staff, board member, or vendor with which the county contracts business, it does not have to be reported.
Pretty specific.
Okay. I missed that part then.
Okay.
So.
Madam Chair,
Yes, hold on, Mr. Shepherd's next.
Yeah, I have is there a definition of what is a perceived conflict of interest? I mean, because that word is used and.
Vince.
I can define that for you if you'd like me to. That would be something that possibly looks to someone else like a conflict of interest, which could be anything where someone could approach it and say, that's a conflict. So if anyone could consider it a conflict of interest, we will take it as a conflict of interest until we could prove that it's simply a perception. One example would be if I had a first cousin, and I had never met them in my entire 46 years on this planet because our parents don't have a personal relationship. That might be perceived to be a conflict of interest because there is a blood relationship. However, in reality, under the circumstances, it is not. So that would be a perceived conflict of interest that, if evaluated, may be determined by the people reviewing it that it is not, in fact, an actual conflict.
Don't have a relationship with your cousin.
Yeah. Madam Chair.
Yes, who, we have two hits, Mr. Ford.
Ford, yeah. My question is slightly different. If you go back up, there's well, right there, it says as well as. So I was just trying to get a definition of the, after the, there seemed to be more than one part to it. So after, where did it just go? Right in there.
Oh, there.
So with the as well as clause, it seems like the issue kind of expands from just having
I'm still looking for
As
that.
well.
a conflict of interest relationship.
Where's as well as? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm reading.
The second.
Second,
Second line.
the
middle
second
of the-
line.
Middle of the line.
Got it. Thank you.
That's where the perceived comes in. So any actual conflict of interest, as well as any acts or relationships that could be perceived as or inappropriate or give the appearance of impropriety. So that's essentially saying that the person in it can't decide that it's not a conflict and not report it. So if it looks like a conflict, you have to report it. If it turns out it's not, when it's evaluated by the necessary staff people, what we don't want is someone to not report something because they have themselves decided it's not a conflict of interest. People involved in the relationship cannot make that determination.
Okay, so the part of inappropriate relationship has the same meaning as a conflict of interest relationship, or is it considered separate?
Could be perceived as inappropriate. So that would be if someone else thinks it's inappropriate, then it should be reported just to make sure it's on the record. And then if it's evaluated by those that are charged with this, depending on the department head or the county board chair, determined to not be inappropriate, then they certainly can give a subsequent approval that the matter is not a conflict of interest, and that would be documented in file so that they would be meeting this. That's taking the decision of whether or not it's a conflict of interest out of the hands of the people that are involved in the relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay, I just have a little problem with what somebody else determined was inappropriate. I get the conflict of interest part clearly, but to get into the word of inappropriate, it sounds more personal than anything else.
Is that making a judgment, you
It
feel?
just sounds like a judgment.
I think we've got comes, and then one more question then.
I just wanted to, something that was popping up in my head is, so I'm worried about the unintended consequence here. So if there are a married couple in transportation department and one is up for a promotion,
Mhm.
that could be a huge problem, right? They've been married for 25 years, but now all of a sudden I'm up for a promotion, but that might be a conflict of interest because now my spouse works underneath me.
That is absolutely a conflict, absolutely needs to be reported and dealt with.
Mhm. Yes, very much so. Very much so.
So the motion is to remove from consent agenda, yet still move forward.
Correct. With.
And whoever seconded my motion needs to.
Ms. Bates.
What about peer-to-peer
Oh,
relation?
Ms. Bates, no, I'm sorry. We're, I think we had Mr. Caius before we
Sorry,
move that
said my
forward.
name and
Yes,
I
hold
went,
on a
"Oh,
second.
no."
And then that'll be the last one. And then we're going to move this with your permission to amend and then go through the approval to move this off consent. And that way everyone can feed it to Mr. Shepro and Ms. Labrillo, any of your comments, thoughts, concerns, and they will work on the wordsmithing along with Mr. Surges to move it to the full board.
No, those two are fine. Just.
No, you're in it.
I guess the question is, Ms. Bates, will you remove your second?
Oh, not yet. We have one more comment. Mr.
Just,
Caius.
Caius, this is a very interesting discussion, shows just how important this topic is and how delicate it is. Is there not maybe to Jamie, is there not a best management practice for someone that has actually, or an entity like ours that's actually drawn up one of these things?
Yes, this is consistent with best practice and has been vetted by the state's attorney.
With this language?
With the new language, no, we just wrote that last night, but we will review it with them prior to coming to the board meeting. There wasn't time since this was later last night, so there wasn't time to review the highlighted portion with them. But the remainder of the policy has been vetted by the state's attorney, and as well as checked to make sure that there was supporting case documents. Policies such as this have been supported legally, both in private as well as public sector employers.
So
Chris, permission was their word from the state's attorney, not ours. So we're just, if we don't like it, we'll push it back to them and say.
Well,
this is
yeah, the
what we-
concern I have is we passing this on, we've got a lovely bunch of people here. We're gonna have twice as many if we pass it on up and have the same discussion. So I'm concerned that
Get
we,
it out to everybody well ahead of
that
time.
we-
If have to pull it from.
yeah, so we don't spend this extra time.
If we have to pull it from the agenda next week, we will.
Okay, all right. So let it go through the process, Mr. Caius, and then perhaps we can, perhaps, is this the fourth or fifth time around will be the magic time?
That's my concern. It's going up to a whole bunch of other people to pick each word apart.
All right,
State's
we
attorney.
have a request on the table. Will you amend?
I have a
this?
question. Does this affect peer-to-peer relationships as well?
No, it
Okay,
is
that's all.
just, yes, it is supervisory, subordinate, or vendor relationships is what's outlined.
So will you approve moving this from consent agenda?
Yes, I approve.
Okay, all right. So we have a motion on the table to approve all items except, no, we don't have any other
Call the
items.
vote on this one.
Yes, just call the vote, please, as amended.
Alan,
Alan,
Repeat the motion then again to, this is to do what? I'm sorry, point of order.
We're moving this off consent.
That's just strictly it, to move it off consent.
He's only has one item on his,
Move
to the
forward
board
off
agenda.
consent.
off consent.
So it's not going to be an omnibus. Yes, we have to review this one more time and where there will be a possible tweak before it gets to us.
we're off consent to the next
Send it back
full
to
board
committee.
meeting.
Does this mean it goes back to committee or?
No,
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 no.
no.
Let's send it
Goes
back.
to the agenda,
it's
but
no
off
different than
consent,
if somebody voted no.
but on the agenda.
Are we ready? Okay,
I would move that we send it back to committee.
I would
punch you in the nose.
I would second that.
I'm concerned that we get up there and we do this whole discussion again with 24 people.
you know, it's,
There's something that's,
okay, let's get through
important.
the first motion. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ford. Clerk, please call the roll. If it does not pass, then we can have discussion opened up again. This is to move it off consent to next week's full board meeting.
Alan,
Alan, still I.
Bates,
No,
Berman,
Berman, no.
Davis,
Davis, no.
Ford, Gums,
Gums, no.
Caius,
no.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, no.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, no.
Surges,
100 times yes.
You don't get 100 votes.
Mr. Tepe.
Mr. Tepe?
Yes.
You gotta take it back and get it right. Mm.
It does not pass. We have 8 noes and 7 yeses.
Okay, so could you please amend your motion?
Could I would, this is Caius. I would move that we return it to committee.
Strathman seconds.
Okay, sir? Yes.
C'est la vie, exactly.
They love me. All right, so there'll be
I
additional,
invite everybody in the room to be at my committee for this discussion.
We'll be there. Fair enough.
and I think we can all,
Getting to be comical, so. we need to
Repetitive?
Get this done.
You can't make this stuff.
Cannot make this stuff up, you guys.
Sure.
since this has been discussed, I think we can all informally agree that we're going to give best effort to clarify any additional words and language to make sure that it is the intent of what the spirit of this resolution is about for the protection of the county board and the county. And then pass this through appropriately through the next committee, through exec and through May's board meeting. Okay, we all in agreement that you're going to work hard on this. And if you do not participate, it's like voting. You have no voice. So if you have concerns, please, please share those concerns actively. And Mr. Shepro, please, I will ask you to help steward this along for us.
Thank you. Are you having a,
We still have to vote.
is this going back by unanimous consent or is it,
We have
you
to
gotta
vote.
call the
We'll
roll?
vote on it right now.
Okay.
So we have a motion and do we have a second?
Yes.
Who seconded?
Strathman.
Strathman, okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, no.
Bates,
Yes, Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
With apologies to Cliff, yes.
Board, yes.
Gums, yes.
Caius,
It's a very humble yes, Mr. Sturgis, I apologize.
That
Kenyon?
didn't look that humble to me.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, no.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sanchez, I'm sorry.
Sanchez, no.
Sanchez, no. Surges,
101 times no.
Tepe.
Is that a no?
No.
Yes,
Yes,
it's
it
a
was
no.
no.
Since- Yes, we have no bananas.
The water.
The air.
Passes with a 9 yes.
Madam Chair,
5 no's.
5 noes. Yes, ma'am.
I just think Mr. Caius was correct in that we need to get this correct. It shows by this discussion how important this is. And I applaud people wanting to make it right, exactly right.
Thank you. Thank you. And as a side note, we need to move forward on this. I would just like to compliment this group for your due diligence on this. And I'm not being sarcastic when I say this. I hope we have the same passion of interest and concern when we start talking about next year's budget. All right, like my gauntlet has just been laid down.
Before we move off subject, again, these packets were out. The information came out of committee. It was there to have this questioned in the 11th hour again. I applaud, we have a question, but
Correct. Correct.
you know, this was
But it is.
11th hours and
go
I
out.
understand that, but let's have the same zeal and get in front of this and not wait until the night before a meeting.
That discussion has been had.
Thank you.
Gotta wait for committee.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah, and I don't.
Let's go forward.
Oh, this was after the call last night.
Let's go.
Changed it
forward.
before we got to the anything.
All right, it's fine, fine,
Paul
fine.
came at 5 o'clock.
Gentlemen, we're ready to begin. Ms. Molina, please.
It's something I get through.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Judicial and Public Safety has 2 resolutions. I'm going to move them individually because I believe there is an amendment to the second resolution. So the first resolution is proclaiming April 9th to 15th, 2023 National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. And I'd like to move that and request a second.
Linder seconds.
Grams will move.
For Linder seconds. You call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford, Gums,
Gums, absolutely, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Pepe.
Jeppy, yes.
Passes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
And if we
okay.
can just make sure that the title on the resolution, instead of saying nation,
Good
is
morning. Good
national.
morning.
I'm sorry.
Should say
The-
national, she said. She's breaking up.
I'm sorry, there was
National.
somebody else talking at the same time. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the title on the resolution is corrected to national and not nation. It's just missing a few letters.
Okay, Scribner's error.
Yes. And then the second resolution is regarding the authorization agreement with CASA. And I'd like to have Mr. Sanchez discuss the amendment that I think our state's attorney is requesting for this resolution.
Do we have a second for this one?
Surges seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was an amendment at JPS. But upon further discussion between State's Attorney Mosser and Chief Judge Hull, they decided upon a final amendment to the language. So if you look at the last whereas clause in this resolution, I suppose I'll make the motion and then ask for a second to strike the language where it says with a unilateral option to be exercised by CASA to extend the lease agreement an additional 2 years till April 30th, 2028. Strike that and replace it with if at the end of the 3-year time period, the county has not found space for CASA, CASA will have the option to extend the lease for up to 2 additional years with the same terms as contained in the lease. So that is the final agreed upon language for this.
I
Need a motion for that?
I motion to amend, and so I'll need a second.
I'll
we-
second.
Surges.
Can we see that in writing, please? I understand the verbal, it's a long.
May I
sentence.
share my screen? That may be the easiest way to do it.
That would be appropriate. Thank you.
Give me one moment.
The IT guys all sat up over there in the corner.
Wait a minute, what do we do? Make him a host.
They want another cartoon.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, when did this arrive?
I believe this was, Mr. Leonard was in closer communication with Ms. Mosser and Chief Judge Hull. And so I believe it was last week that they determined this was the final language for this resolution. And Mr. Leonard asked me if I could make this friendly amendment at this meeting.
Roger, do you have a
Yeah.
comment on it?
For the building management department, I would only ask that there be some language added about mutual agreement. Just to be sure that the county has options as well about the space that is in that building, because this implies, in my opinion, that the option is clearly theirs to extend it or not. And without mutual agreement, if we had some other cause or effect that resulted in us needing that, we would be obligating that space. So I'm just saying for the county's sake, to make sure that mutually we agree that this will be extended.
So it could possibly read with that inclusion, CASA will have the option to extend the lease for up to 2 years with pending mutual agreement. It has to be pending, the clause has got to be in there, to extend the lease after 2 years, pending mutual agreement with the same terms as contained in the lease. Would that make
That
sense?
sound, I'm not
Yes,
the
I-
attorney, but
That changes the intent.
If I could, my understanding, if you look at the difference between the two, it's really shifting this from a unilateral option to just an option, which to me implies that there is a choice on our behalf, or on our part, but I don't. This was handed to me from them, so I wouldn't want to change this and then
we could
maybe
ask the
suggest
state's
that.
attorney's office
Yeah.
between now and county board. My only concern is that if that, circumstances change over 3 years and you say that you need the space for something specific that's required and they have an option to extend whether you have a need or not. I'm just saying
Yeah,
through
no.
mutual agreement, you would extend it, but that's also typical for leases that you would want mutually to extend it.
I think the thought is that was implied here, but Mr.
Okay.
Shepro.
That's my only question.
Mr. Shepherd, you have a comment?
Yeah, Ken Shepros as state's attorney. The essentially mutual agreement is antithetical to the notion of an option. I mean, you can always do anything by mutual agreement. I would suggest that you consider forwarding this on, and we will consult with the state's attorney about whether the modification that Mr. Feinstock is suggesting is appropriate. And if it is, it can always be taken off consent and amended on the floor next week.
Should we move it off to consent right
That was going
now?
to be my.
No, I don't know that you need to do that. I think it would depend on what the chief judge and Ms. Mosser say about it. I think that if you made it right now, it is an option that occurs if the county has not found space. So in that sense, it's still a unilateral option. It just depends on something happening first. If you make it by mutual agreement, that gives the county a veto, which may be what you want, but doesn't sound like it's what the chief judge wanted to do at this point. So I think before that clarified, I mean, you could move it off, but if it can be resolved by next week, then the language would presumably remain.
I would just like, Madam Chair.
Yes, I'm sorry.
comments.
Yes, yeah.
Just the previous whereas does have the mutual agreement language in it, so I don't know if that matters.
Derivative terms mutually agreeable to all parties. I think that's the financial aspect of it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
So the other part is in reference to the terms, this Roger from Building Management. So if you're going to extend the option under the existing terms, that's part of it as well. And that, you know, when you look at the whereas part of the resolution, that's the intent of where the resolution comes from. The now therefore be it resolved is the part that you're actually executing. So I think that, you know, if it's mutual intent above, then in the execution of it, in the therefore be it resolved, you'd want the agreement. But I don't think anybody has any bad intent. It's just make sure that you your hand's not forced if you get to that point. You have to make tough decisions.
And the one thing, if I can just make a comment, what it does say very clearly is that Kane County, in my interpretation of this, is permanently responsible for CASA. Because it says if Kane County has not found space for CASA, then we are responsible for making sure, very much like all of our departments and elected officials, that we are providing space for them. That we're taking them literally under the wing. And I'm not saying the value that there's no question about value, importance, et cetera. But that responsibility remains with the county board right now to find space for them and to maintain them. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, if there would be interest. in
Celine,
just-
I see your hand up. Let her go next after.
Thank you. If there would be interest in moving this off consent, I would withdraw my motion to amend, allow some time for the state's attorney and chief judge to respond to these thoughts, and then amend it at county board next week.
Okay, who seconded? Or who?
Sturgis
Yes, Mr. Sturgis. Would that be an agreeable to you? Okay,
Draw my motion.
okay. And before we take the vote, Ms. Molina, you did have your hand up.
Yes, Madam Chair, I agree with you. I want to make sure that we are all under the same understanding that by including that portion of the sentence, the King County has not found space for CASA. We are indeed taking CASA under our wing. We haven't made any formal declaration of that yet. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page to understanding what the responsibility is of the county at that point for housing CASA. I'd be in agreement to take this off consent or even move it back to committee. It seems as if our stakeholders are at the committee level, not so much at the county board level regarding this lease agreement. So I prefer to move this back to committee where I think the discussion needs to be had, not so much at the full county board meeting next week.
Okay, so we've got two things very similar to human services. So we have a withdrawal of the motion to move it
To amend.
to amend and move it off consent. So I
Madam
think
Chair, I did have a comment.
the motion is to move off consent, correct? I think that's
The
what we
motion was to, no, I think the original motion was to move it
Correct.
move an amendment to the main motion, which was to approve and forward on consent.
Yes, and Sanchez here, they agreed to change
Right.
it to move it
So
off.
then
consent.
the motion to amend was withdrawn. So now you have the motion to forward on consent. Unless there's a motion to send it back to committee, which could be.
Point of order, wasn't that what?
Yeah, that's,
Lena just-
There is a motion
there is a
to,
motion right now, so we have
I would second that motion.
to move it back to committee.
Back to committee.
Mr. Shepro, is that correct? We're following, all right. So, and we have second on that,
Sturgis will second.
second?
I seconded it.
Second. Okay, so now we can take the vote. Oh, you wait, hold on a second.
Sir, I just want to go on the record and say that I disagree with Roger in this particular case. Inserting the one word mutual changes the entire intent of what that line coming in means. The amended line means, and I believe that we're not just wordsmithing, we are changing what we're doing with that. And I just want to make sure that I'm acknowledging that or verbalizing it so that we understand when it's going back, this is a discussion. This isn't a wordsmith.
So you'll be in committee chat. tracking
Happy
this,
to,
right?
more than happy to.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
I'll ask
All right, can we call the roll, please?
You're correct.
Alan, just to clarify,
Yes, Ms. Allen, before last one, we're almost there. Yes, ma'am.
the motion will be to move it back to committee. Am I correct?
That's accurate.
Thank you.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, no.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
No.
Pepe.
Happy no.
It passes.
Passes. Thank you. So, Ms. Molina, as we go forward on this, since this will be sitting back onto your committee, can you start, please bringing up that discussion about our permanent relationship with CASA after this passes? Because I do believe you're absolutely accurate that we have to formalize that relationship, making them a quasi-governmental agency. However, and I'm just using those terms, may not be the appropriate terms to use, but I think in the spirit of it, we have to formalize that they are not just tenants. It seems that there's something deeper than that.
Yes, I will. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, thank you so much for your help with that. Okay, thank you. Thank you all for that. All right, transportation, Mr. Davis.
Yes, good morning. Well, I'm gonna give this a go because I don't think I have any that'll upset anybody, so we have 4 items.
Maybe.
Depends on how you feel about, volunteers and IKEA furniture and that kind of thing. Anyway, we have 4 items. I will move all 4 of those and ask for a second.
Caius, second.
Thank you, sir. The first one is Mr. Stan Rayford has stepped up and going to volunteer for the Adopt a Highway program on Orchard Road, a mile on the east side from Galena to West Indian Trail. The second one is some of the staff out at KDOT are tired of sitting on old seats taken out of buses and stuff and want some new furniture. I think Tom and Carl have agreed to assemble it. And so but seriously, they went through all the correct purchasing agreements and they have plans for redoing the permit section in the KDOT building. The third one is a contract with Corrective Asphalt Materials LLC. This is a rejuvenator project. This is a treatment of the asphalt to extend and enhance its life. That's $519,054.90. And then the last one is with Builders Paving LLC, which is the more traditional, our 2023 resurfacing project, which comes in at just under $10 million, $9.8 million. Any questions?
Is there any discussion? Seeing
In that
none
case,
online.
call them off for us, please.
Okay, I think we can call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Board, yes.
Gums,
Thumbs, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe.
Deputy, yes.
Very good. Mr. Caius.
Oh, me? Great.
Morning.
I'd like to move that a resolution authorizing an agreement with White and Company for architectural service facilities master planning services.
Davis,
And ask
second.
for a second. Davis, second. And then I would have Roger Bonstock lead us in this discussion.
Right. Good morning. The resolution that was distributed by the county board office, you should have received. This was pursuant to a request. I think Bill Leonard had asked about the price of the proposal that we were working on. So I have copies of that if you want a paper copy, but you did receive it in your email. I'll pass it out.
Oh, wow.
Here's another stack.
You have
The packet has the detailed, outline of the proposal for the 6 months worth of contractual services, professional services with White and Company to do the facility master plan. And the cost associated with it is on there as well. It's $320,610. And we were looking at, that with all of the meetings that occur over the course of 6 months and their attendance and involvement and engagement through the work groups and the stakeholders and the different committee meetings. They're going to be meeting with the admin committee and the committee of the whole. I think in the proposal, they have 4 or 5 committee of the whole sessions that they're going to attend. We're going to be working on that. Obviously, if we don't have as many, we won't be paying as much, but that's a full circle of services to get engagement with the departments, the elected officials, the county board, and the public during a 6-month period to finalize a facility master plan that, generally speaking, is 10 years of planning that you would want to follow and use as guidance for the decisions that the county makes. The last full facility master plan was done in 2009. We were looking at the costs going back from then. They seem to do it in incremental groups of costs, but it seemed like it was in the $200,000 to $250,000 range, but it was spread over maybe 10 invoices. But that plan was also refreshed in 2014. There was additional work done to the plan. That was a consideration about what to do with certain issues facing the courts and having additional judges and some issues related to traffic and parking at the judicial center that we were dealing with. So from that, again, this plan would start. It's already started. We've already started meeting and discussing as a planning group the first meeting for April 12th. I think everybody here should have received an email invite. It was posted on the notices for the agenda. It is fast, and the schedule is going to be somewhat challenging because we're trying to get this done in a 6-month time period so that you can begin using the information to discuss your strategy about the buildings that you have or the buildings that you think we need. Again, 6 months is the time frame, so compress a lot of that meetings. There's about 4 months worth of scenario planning as well in there, where we're looking at all the different input, all the different options, coming up with scenarios. And then ultimately that comes back to the committee process and the board to finalize the plan, recommend and adopt the plan. So again, the cost is in there now. This was received about maybe 3-4 days ago, and we've been reviewing it, making sure that everything is in there that we think accounts for the processes, accounts for the meeting, the hours and the services and the staff that's applied to it. So if you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to try and answer those.
Yes, Ms. Bates.
I'm very excited about this master plan. I think a good master plan will probably save us more money than it costs. I have one question, and that is about the consultants and expenses, combined expense budget of $7,500,
Yes.
which is sort of office stuff.
There's some things
Is
where,
this- Wait,
I'm sorry.
is this based on an as-needed basis?
Yes.
And we won't pay that out if it's not needed, and will we know what it's spent on?
This is Roger again. So when they put that in there, we were looking at, we don't have a good facility to facilitate a meeting with 50 to 100 people.
Right.
So we are looking at renting a space to hold the meeting late in the afternoon. The first meeting is going to be at Eagle Brook on April 12th. And we have to pay rental fees, and we're going to try to get some stuff to keep people, at the venue. So there'll be some refreshments and some things to snack on, just to make sure we're not distracting people or keeping them, from staying the full time. But there'll be some other, kind of ancillary costs associated with holding certain meetings, and that's to cover those. Anything that's not spent would, remain in the county's funds.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I see none online. Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Ford, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe.
Debbie, yes.
Passes.
Oh, this is going to be very, very exciting. Great opportunity for the board and for entire Kane County. All right, so that ends that. I believe we have an executive session. Is that correct? No? No? Okay.
Say no.
Well, then the thought that I heard in my head was incorrect, which is wonderful. Committee reports. Yes,
Okay, from the Legislative Committee.
name please.
Oh, this is Linder, from the Legislative Committee. You should be aware, as I think you are, that we're in an ongoing process of trying to settle the lobby issue. Having had two vendors interviewed and submitted proposals and scored, we met with personnel last week to put the scores together, and now we go back to a committee to move towards some action that'll be coming forth. The other thing that I've got in my mind with legislative is that, as you know, most of our committees have a staff person to which they relate. Cliff Human Services has Jamie Labrello and so forth. Legislative really doesn't have that at this point. And legislation across the county is kind of do it here and do it there. If development has an issue, they engage some of the legislators and asking them about putting forth bills or trailer bills or amendments or whatever. If Human Services had an issue, they would do the same. We really need to not take that authority or action away from those places, but we need to centralize the information. We need to have a way that somebody could come to the legislative committee and say, what's our position on this bill or this affirmative action or whatever? Because right now we don't have a county-wide legislative platform. It was kind of apparent in dealing with the vendors for the lobbying. The lobbyist who had done some work for us before listed kinds of things he has done and would do that he knows about. The other firm that had not worked for us as much had to be much more general because we don't have a legislative platform. So those are things we're going to talk about don't know that we're going to do anything about it, but we do need to come up with a better way to centralize the information on these things. It allows us then to put out a call once a month to say, you know, here's some things that are important to our departments, and you could do witness slips, or you could call somebody. That's down the road, but I think we need to get started on it. That's kind of me, but I think Ms. Gums is with me on that, and we'll talk to the committee some more about it too.
Thank you, Mr. Linder. Yes, sir.
Question for Mr. Linder. Surges. The Long Meadow Bridge and lobbying for, I'm just gonna throw out a figure, the extra 17 million that we needed to not make that a toll bridge. Do we have somebody that has been engaged and is on that?
Yeah, through the transportation department, Madam Chair arranged for a short-term specific contract. And I know Madam Chair may want to talk some more about that with the lobbyist to get that done.
Okay, so is that lobbyist one of the two people
Yes.
or firms that you're speaking of now?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. So it's anything else?
Madam Chair, I just want to make a comment from two people from KDOT, Jackie Forbes and Casey Crowley, recently put on a presentation about bike paths, particularly in the northern Kane County area in my community, and they just did a phenomenal job. So as people are looking for more and more things to do in Kane County and ways to take advantage of it, getting a presentation on the bike paths and the kinds of touring that can be done would be beneficial if you've got a group in your area that's looking for that.
Very good.
So I wanted to thank them and just make it known that they've done a tremendous job.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Kyson, then.
Okay, just to put an exclamation point on the, visioning session, which we should have all gotten an email about. That's next week coming up in this condensed calendar that we have to get the master plan out. We please make sure that you are contributing. Don't feel like that. Make sure you're contributing. I'm not sure everybody can make every meeting, but make sure that your voice gets in there for the kinds of things that you find important. And that's the other board members as well as the general public. We want to, just as is shown this morning in our discussion, the more people we have discussing, I think the broader perspective we have and more emphasis is
Correct.
really important.
Correct.
So
And if I can just follow up on that, all opportunities should be put on the table without any preconceived notions. Just clear the mind and just enjoy the experience. That's
Linda here.
important. Give me a second, Ms. Bates.
Oh, I want to make a report from E&E, so.
Okay, so yes, Mr. Lynch.
Just on the planning, what time frame should we expect? Is that 2 hours, 3 hours? What are you thinking?
This is Roger again. The timeframe for the meeting, I believe, is 3 to 6. But I'm assuming that most of the work will be done between 3 and 5, and then we'll have the closing part of it where we just try to finish things up. But 3 to 6 is the schedule.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Bates. Wait, hold on a second. One more question.
I guess this Surges, this is a question for Julie. When we run for office, when we meet with our constituents, when we're asked to speak publicly, the question always comes up, well, what are some of the things that you would like to see happening for the county? What are the things that you're working on? Where do you, I look at that from the perspective of services that we're able to offer. I need someone from your side to kind of say, looking at the buildings and the facilities, does what for the constituents? It's easy to be flippant and say, you don't understand, these buildings are like 100 years old and the cost to operate them is becoming ridiculous and blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure that answers the question properly to a constituent that says, if I'm paying more, what more am I getting? And if I could ask you to you and Chris maybe to begin congealing a statement on that is something that we could all use. I would find that beneficial. So.
Okay, point well taken, point well
I think
taken.
that's partly what we will be determining with this visioning, wide open visioning session. So constituents and board members contribute.
Understood. I just need something better than I can create. So.
If I might,
Oh, absolutely. Ms.
Julie, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I'm working on. So I'm waiting for the meeting myself to kind of see what we're doing. And I have walked around the campus many times, just trying to visualize what people would see when they come to this building and what they would like to see. And I think accessibility is a big issue that people stand up and take notice of. Everybody wants to have the same ability to get in and out of a building and take advantage of our services.
Mm-hmm. Our bodies aren't ready for this like drastic change. I've got my heater on to try to dry it out.
Someone who's talking has to mute, please. Appreciate your heater is on. Ms. Bates.
Thank you. The Energy and Environmental Committee would like to thank everyone who attended our listening session last week. We had one here. We had one in the library in Aurora. We had almost 100 people attend. So thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for other committee members who attended. And we will have one more listening session, which is going to be on April 29th at the Elgin Environmental Summit at ECC, Elgin Community College, from 11:45 to 12:45. So if anybody else didn't get to come or wants to invite more of your friends and neighbors to come, that would be fantastic. Kane County is a leader in this. As far as we know, we are the only county that is working on a climate action plan, who will have a climate action plan. So we are really in the lead, and which means we will be helping not only our unincorporated areas, but our municipalities, and especially those municipalities that are rather small, and that we can help with that they can adopt our plan as well. So we are really excited. Thank you, everybody.
Fantastic. I have to say that attending the meeting that was held here was very well attended. We had strong showing from the community. Some great questions were asked. It was a fascinating listen.
We're excited about this. It's
Yeah.
great.
People are excited about the environment, absolutely, as well they should be. Anything else? Yes.
Just like to remind people that this is National Public Health Week.
Okay.
Thank you.
See, Ms. Strathman.
And support all our good. We are very lucky with the people who work for King County in this department.
So I just heard on the radio that people from youth, everybody from like 28 years old under, 80% of them have COVID antibodies in their systems.
Oh, wow. Oh, my.
I went, oh my gosh, where is that verified? Where is that data coming from? And those people who are 65 and older, only 50% have COVID antibodies because of perhaps getting the shots, getting isolation, and not interfacing with each other.
Madam Chair, to go along with what Ms. Strathman said, what was the news lately that King County is among the healthiest counties in Illinois?
Well, as well we are. Of course we are. Of course. Yeah. Let's get this meeting over with so we can go for a walk. Yeah.
On those wonderful forest preserve trails that we
Is
have.
there anybody else who has a comment? I didn't mean to discourage any conversation with my comment. Well,
Oh,
if there's.
for transportation, just a quick,
Yes, sir.
thank Vern for him pointing out the fine work of some of our folks in transportation. And then next month, groundbreaking for the Doberman Road extension on May 11th, I believe. More to follow. And now, Mr. Kenyon, you're up.
Oh, well, excuse me, sir. All right, nothing else?
Although it's sad to end this lively discussion, it's been a good meeting. It's been one of the best. I move we adjourn until next week.
8 seconds.
Second, all in favor, aye.
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 Any
So you
opposed?
didn't get your way, Cliff.
Not my way.
Everybody, thank you. Meeting is
Right.